Falco Canine Academy, and I am so happy to have you here with me. Oh my gosh, let me go get something before I forget. I've been meaning to bring this book over here. I have never ran off at the beginning of any of my broadcasts. I run off when somebody else was talking, but I want to show you the journal that came, Train the Dog Trainer Journal, and that is available now on Amazon. I'll put a link that you can go to. And what I wanted to show you, because it's kind of hard to explain, is that, of course, in the beginning, I got the instructions on how to use the journal. If you're a trainer, remember, I also have one for detection dogs. It'll be found also probably alongside this when you go to my Amazon page. It gives instructions on how to journal in this book. And then if you can see, I got lower, let me see, I got to see, not lower resolution, what's the word I'm looking for? Grade wording that allows you to fill in the blanks when you have stuff to fill in there, or if you need extra pages, this actually can still be a blank page because I've reduced the font color into a low gray. And so you have several pages that you can go into and journal your training as a dog trainer and your experiences with a new dog and what that new dog is bringing to you, and journal. Again, you can either use the printed stuff when you do, or if you need 3 or 4 pages, you just list it as a blank page. I would probably still put the date on every page. That way, when you're thumbing through it, because towards the back there is a place for logging in what it is that you did as a trainer. Do you see that there? So you log in the date that you did the training, and then in the middle here, you just put keywords that will remind you of what you did on that day. So it could be detection, not detection. It could be, because this is the Train the Dog Trainer Journal, you can put aggressive dog or trained sit to a green dog, worked on the down with a dog that was stubborn, or whatever it is that's going to remind you. And then later on, if you can't remember something that you wanted to remember, you're just going to go to the back of the book here, and you're going to go and you're going to start looking for the keywords that you want to be reminded about. Maybe the tool. You can put pinch collar or choke chain or electronic collar or click and treat or whatever it is you're using, if you're kind of swapping between what type of training you're doing. But that's what the book looks like. It's 100 and I don't have the page numbers on here. It's about 126 pages, I believe, somewhere around there. And so it'll last you a good deal of time. What I'm considering is maybe making a couple of these with different covers on them so that you can tell the difference between one and the other. But you can just write here somewhere in the white. You can put the dates. I probably should do something by putting down here, maybe space for doing that. But anyway, here's the journal that is available on Amazon. I will put the link on there right now as I'm talking. But what we're going to do is we are going to I'm going to be showing you some video. I can't type and talk at the same time. Oh my gosh! I'm glad I'm not chewing gum. I'd fall over and hit my head on the desk is what would happen. And so what we're going to be showing you today is some advanced training with Charlie. And so in the basic academy. And so it's kind of like jumbo shrimp, right? I'm doing advanced training in the basic training. So as far as the basic academy goes, we got the very beginning, right, where we're just introducing the dog to the odor and trying to marry the odor with the reward, which is the tennis ball in this case. And so that's the beginning. And then we begin to do entry. We enter into a building and have the dog look for the same odor, and we actually guide the dog towards the odor and help him find it, and then remind him what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to sit, and then we just continue to take baby step until the point where now the later stages is actually now allowing the dog to search for something. And of course, I'm not showing you every day that we're doing training. I'm not showing you every minute because quite frankly, I think you'd get bored to tears. I'm taking you through bigger jumps, and just understand that between each one of the times that you see me, there's training going on. The video that I'm going to show you took place last week, I think it was, the beginning of last week. And so let me just write this out. That way I can get it out of my mind. So here's the link for the journal, for the Train the Dog Trainer Journal. There it is. It's in the comment section. It'll come up on the Falco Canine Academy page. And so I'm not only going to show you a video of Charlie, but on one of the training days that I was with Charlie, a handler who just bought a dog from another organization who was slightly frustrated because they're saying they said the dog was certified for explosives, but the dog's not finding anything that I'm hiding. And so I'm going to show you a video about that and let you see what's happening. And I'm going to talk you through why, when you are going through trainers, why it's important to understand what they're using for training aids. Because on the surface, what you're going to see, it looks like, and I'm going to show you this video first. It looks like the dog is searching, right? The dog is actively searching. It's a young dog. The handler had Bruno, the dog that passed away not too long ago. I'm not sure. There was some reasons why she was not willing to. People are on budgets and things like that, and I cannot. My belief system in running a business is that it is difficult for me to lower my prices because we have a brand, we have all the things that we do, and so our policy is not to lower our prices. So if you call us and say, I'm blah 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 and blah blah blah, I do feel bad that our $13,000 dogs for detection, we can't sell for $9,000 like some other people can, because we don't just go get a dog, right? We go through a lot of hoops to find a dog that will do the job. And so we tend to be more expensive than a lot of other people, but it's because of what we do to find a dog. Now, in the past, we did go to some, and I've told you this, we've gone to some rescues and shelters and used to get dogs, and they would work, but there was always something happening. It was easier for us to do. We can charge less money. We can get into the $9,000 range because there was, maybe Washington was as far as we had to go. And, but other things would come up. We'd have dog aggression. We'd have health issues. We'd have teeth falling out. And, it's just, the quality is not there. And so I really put a lot of emphasis. And even then, even knowing that it was better to go overseas or better to spend some more time, it's not easy, right? And thank you, Chris. And so that is just it. All right. And so I know people come to us and they say, you are more expensive. Well, I know, because it's the dog. And first it comes the dog, right? Is the dog going to do the job? That's why you see Charlie progressing the way that you do, right? They still will have dog issues. They still lick themselves in nasty places. They still will pee on something on occasion. They're still dogs, right? But the things that we need in the dog are in place and solid, right? Their health is good. We get x-rayed. They get x-rayed probably 2 or 3 times before they get to us. There's a lot of things. And so we eliminate some of the potential things that happen just with dogs, right? They still end up with heart murmurs after we've taken them to the vet, down the road. They still will eventually have something else, but we can minimize those things by spending more money, spending more time trying to find the right dog. And sometimes it takes a really long time. Lately it's taken way too long, but I don't have any choice. I cannot lower the standards to find the right dog. Secondly, we use real stuff always. When we're training a dog, no matter what it is, we use real stuff to train the dog. And this is where we come to this dog, right? I'm going to share my screen here and show you. This video is coming from iCloud, so there may be some hiccups and stuff like this as this thing's going. But then again, this dog has been trained to find explosives, and she's received a certificate that this dog is certified as a certified bomb detection dog. Now, who certified the dog? The people who trained him, right? And so, unless they are, very good people, they are more interested in just getting the certificate than it is deciding whether the dog is certified. And so there is that issue. I encourage all my handlers when they leave here to go somewhere else to get certified. Chris, who's on here, has gone to, I think, WDDO, and I'm not sure NSDECA or not. One of the two for bed bug detection. And so I encourage everybody, you need to leave here and go somewhere else so you can get that confidence that it's not just me. Now, I'm probably harder on my own people than I am easy, right? And I won't let people through. I've had people cuss me out, throw their leashes down. I've had people throw fits. I've had people say a bunch of things about me because I didn't pass them. But it's because they didn't find it. And I'm not willing to change it either. And so that also pisses people off. So let's go to the dog. Again, this dog is trained. My sense is that they did not use real NSDECA and WDDO. Oh, WDDO is next week. Okay, cool. Awesome. That's what Chris is saying. So he goes to outside certification. I know the people, but I don't. And I actually had a hand in creating WDDO certification, but I'm not associated with them any longer. What's funny is that in a court case, they called and the person said, I don't know who Andy is. Even though I was one of the founding members of WDDO and created the certification to some extent. I had some say in it in the beginning. So an attorney called WDDO and they said, well, I don't know who Andy is. So I thought that was very funny. All right. So enough about that. That's the canine world. Who do they talk to? I have no idea. All right. So here we're going to go solo on my video and play it here. It's going to... Let me see what happens here if I fill the screen with it. Oh, nice. All right. So this is the handler with her bomb dog. Let me actually go back. And the good news, as you're going to see as the video is going through, oh, good, it's showing. I can see on my screen. The dog is sniffing and doing a good job. It's a big dog. Look how Cher is tiny. She's like 90 pounds and full of, I want to say piss and vinegar, but that doesn't sound right talking about Cher. Look at the dog when it stands up. It's actually taller than Cher. So the dog's sniffing, doing a good job, right? Searching. So it appears that, at least as far as my evaluation, is that the dog was trained to search, right? And detect. The dog is going through the stages. She's knows when to step in. There's certain things I change about what she's doing, but she knows. I'm obviously very honest with her. This dog actually, when I started this video, this dog's already been searching for about 8 minutes. So you're going to see her frustration here, because don't think she's already getting frustrated. I didn't start the video. I was so busy watching her, I forgot to start the video. And so the video actually is about 8 minutes in when I started, maybe longer. The dog's already been around the room once. And the dog's continuing to search. So the explosives is right there. The dog did not even hesitate. The dog didn't stop. And that's why I go back right there in that chair that the dog stuck his nose on. He turned his head a little bit, but he's showing more interest in these other things. What's interesting is that when these court cases I get onto, handlers say, well, when my dog jumps up onto things, that's how I know that there's narcotics odor or explosive odor or whatever odor there. When the dog jumps onto things, that's what he only does that for that thing. Look at the dog jump up on his own. There's no explosives in that phone. I guarantee you. I've never hidden them. This is a church. And I can pretty much tell you that there's been no explosives. I've never sat the explosive container there. I've never touched it, at least not with my hand. But the dog is searching and having behavior changes and doing all the other stuff as if and smelling those seams, and it's all good. I'm going to come back and talk about why I think this is happening in just a minute. And she's doing a good job allowing the dog to search. I really like most of what she's doing here as far as handling the dog and allowing the dog the process of searching. So needless to say, this goes on and on and on. I'm going to skip through. Oh, the dog finally sits. All right, here's an interesting thing. So the dog finally gets frustrated. The explosive, remember, is on that very first chair where the dog passed. Watch what happens when the dog goes to the trash can. There's nothing in that trash can. It's actually empty. You see how she tapped it? And the dog sits. She thinks, hey, there's nothing there. I shake my head, no. The dog goes back. Most handlers would say, hey, there's something in there. That is a brand new bag inside of that trash can. The janitor was there. I'm sure that the janitor is not a terrorist from the Middle East or wherever, Mexico. And there's nothing there, right? And so, yes, dogs will give you false indications. I've been told that dogs never false alert. And I laugh. I think it's hysterical that handlers think their dog will, and there's another false alert, right? Okay, you could say the fire extinguisher has something in there, a mechanism that smells very close, right? You can have all that stuff, right? You can say all that stuff, but it's simply not true. You're unforgettable. I truly appreciate your training methods and have learned a lot. Molly and I are a successful team because, thank you, Molly. Thank you, Sally. Gosh, I appreciate that. I miss you so much. We need to go to dinner and go to your favorite Italian restaurant and have dinner. It's been too long since I've seen you, Sally. All right. So let's talk about why I think this is happening. Well, I think the issue is that they didn't use real explosives. That in that chair is real explosives. And the tendency is to use Nest or to use Scent Logic, which is fine. I love the owner of Scent Logic. He's a fantastic person and he does a great job. The issue with Scent Logic is that it makes it smell like hundreds of pounds of narcotics because it's a very strong, large a large cloud, a large scent cloud that is created by Scent Logic. Or they're using old, outdated explosives that have been around for a long time and has a lot of contamination, dog slobber, trainer hands with nastiness on it from playing with the ball or whatever. It has dirt on it and dog hair and all this kind of stuff. And so if every one of your training aids has dog hair, if every one of your training aids has dog snot on it, if every one of your training aids is being held in plastic bags, but yet the thing that's different in each one is the explosive, the commonality between each one is they all have the same contamination. They all have the same plastic bag. They all have the same dog hair, dog hair, not a specific dog hair, but they all have that stuff that if you're training with 4 or 5, 6 in explosives, it should be at least 7 different types of explosives. If all 7 have the same type of contamination, what is it the dog is finding on a daily basis? The dog begins to focus on the contamination. And when he comes to my place and I hide something that's not contaminated and it's a real explosive that is fresh, the dog has not found that, right? Now that may be mixed up in the other odors, but because the primary odor for this dog as it goes through training is all the contaminated training aids that are being used to train this dog, when it's confronted with the odor, when it doesn't have any of those things, it doesn't compute, right? They may have certified this dog, but they certified the dog on the training aids that they used to train the dog. Is that a valid training? Is that a valid certification system? Absolutely not. Synthetic stuff can work if the dog is trained both with real and synthetic, because what happens if you're only trained in synthetic, and this is over years of understanding and training using Nest and all the other ones that are out there, we call them pseudo quite often. I see there's something on here, is that because it's missing something, the dog learns that, and now when it finds something that has a different scent fingerprint, the dog will even stop at it, smell it, and go, doesn't smell like the thing I'm used to training, and the dog will move on. Again, the danger of using the synthetics is that you tend to keep those around a long time, and again, you run into that. They all have contamination, where the contamination is the equal thing between all the training aids, and no longer does it become the thing that makes them different. And that's what you want the dog to focus on. You want the dog to focus on RDX. You want the dog to focus on nitrates. You want the dog to focus on the other things. Having a brain fart moment. And so, oh shoot, sorry, I had the wrong screen going on here. I've been talking, but yet not. Why didn't that go away? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. I was talking and thinking that you were watching me, and I'm all animated over here. And so that's what I see is the problem, because the dog surely can search, right? You can see him sniffing, changing directions and getting on a thing and sniffing the seams, that really good stuff. But obviously the odor that the dog has been trained to find is not the explosive odor. The explosive odor there is RDX, which is a very common explosive, especially when you're training an explosive detection dog. You better include RDX, because that's in C4 and A5 and a bunch of other explosives. Let's go back. Why is she not doing a systematic detailed search of the room versus letting the dog continually free search? Because I did not give her direction to do that. And again, remember, I also started the video about 8 minutes in. And so she had done some detailing in the beginning. I don't necessarily think this dog and the pound of explosive that was in that chair, the dog should have found it without having to be detailed. I think that detailed is overused. I can show you tons of video where I see handlers constantly going to detail. Dogs can find stuff without being detailed. What happens is the dog becomes used to being detailed, and the dogs, it's hard for the dogs to do it without your help. And so we train a lot of our dogs to train off leash. They find it very quickly. We've timed them all. I have videos on YouTube. I can share, maybe even do another one, where a dog will often find things faster, not being handled so closely by the handler, that actually slows them down. And we find things within about 30 seconds in a 500 to 1,000 square foot room, where a dog on leash, it takes them much longer, and oftentimes they miss because of the unfortunate influence of the dog. So I hope that answers your question. It's a funny question, but I know there are a lot of handlers that like to be there with their dogs and point out where they go. And as you get to know me, you know that that's not what we have bed bug dogs, E. coli salmonella detection dogs, peanut detection dogs, bomb dogs, narcotics dogs, and they're all very effective without the handler getting too involved. So, and you're going to actually see the video here of the bed bug dog as we're doing some searches. So now I hope all that made sense. So you want to be careful that when you're selecting a trainer or when you're training your own dog, that when you can do it, you want to make sure that the training aids are being swapped out every so often, so that they're being fresh. It is so hard to use clamps and things like that. I understand, that you'll see me use my hands and things like that, but I'm very careful not to get other contaminants on there, and I change them out often. And I use different containers, and I do different things, and I put them in different types of things, so that is constantly changing. Again, you don't want all the training aids to smell the same, because that will become the thing the dog focuses on, because that's the consistent thing. If you put bed bugs in a tennis ball and you have 5 different tennis balls, what's going to be the dog going to be looking for? The tennis ball, right? If you do that with just look at it now as plastic bags. If you put everything in plastic bags, the commonality between each individual odor, no matter how different it is the plastic bag, and the dog will begin to focus on the plastic bag. So be very careful about that. Did I highlight this one? I think I showed it. So David, that's a really good question. I really enjoyed that question, and that's an important one to ask. And so I hope I solved that. So I'm going to show you a video. Actually, let me show that. Let me just go finish with share. So I take her dog, I take her to the training aid, because now you can teach a dog so quickly. Once the dog has been trained the search behavior, what to do when they find it, what I needed to do is come back. I spent 2 10-minute sessions after that video that you just saw, training the dog the odor, that this is the odor he's supposed to find. And now here's a video of the dog doing the same search, now with the understanding of what the odor smells like. And really, that's how I know the dog just didn't know the odor, which is RDX, right? How do you not have a bomb dog find RDX? And why couldn't it find RDX? So here's the video after I've spent 2 10-minute sessions with the dog, teaching the dog the odor. And now watch her doing the search with the dog. All right. Not because I'm 55, but I've done it since I've been in my 20s. I don't know if you can hear that video, but I was just messing around with her. So this dog has great energy, right? So here's an interesting thing. So what's the dog focused on? That ball. But what's happening, and I'm going to stop it and bring it. Oh, I'm not even showing you the video. Gosh darn it. First, you got to see this. Hold on. So watch this. Oh my gosh. The technology just got away from me there for a second. Here, let me go back. Watch what happens, and I'm going to start it and stop it. So watch this. This is an interesting thing. Some of you may experience this with your dogs. And I'm having a good time talking to her about age. So watch this dog. So look at the dog focusing. The dog is now, damn it, I just want that toy. And when he goes up, then you start searching. There you go. Don't do anything. Just don't do anything. Because every time you move, you're piquing his interest even more. So once you start searching, just tell him good boy, and then start searching, then start going. I'm gonna wait here. Right, hold on. Say good boy, because now that was too much too. All right. So when he goes up, just let him start searching. Right now, he's just interested in the ball that you have under your arm, and he just doesn't want to have to work for it. But he will have to learn. Okay, this is really important. I'm just letting you watch it. Just continue to watch, and then I'll narrate it for you. He's just a little confused about everything else. Okay, start moving it and see if he'll start looking for it. There you go. What happens is you start moving away. All right, so let me come back. So what you saw there in the beginning, I'm going to bring this down. What you saw in the beginning is the dog was really interested in her, because the dog knew she had the toy. And so now the dog is, but what was happening was that she continued to move, and her movement and her trying to get away from the dog piqued the dog's interest even more, that now this is becoming a game, right? And so now the dog's interest is like, well, she keeps moving. Is she going to throw it? What's she going to do? And so it was hard for her to understand this. And it's really hard for her handlers, that the one thing you want to do when you're piquing the dog's interest on you, especially a dog that's already been trained to search. So I know this dog's been trained to search. He just can't find the right explosives, but he does know how to train to search. So the solution in this case, not in all cases, but in this case, is I told her to stop moving, stand still. The dog comes to her. Now the dog sits and is staring at her. The dog comes to another angle and says, maybe you want me to sit here? And I go, how come I'm not getting how come I'm not getting what I want? And I don't want her to move, right? Don't want her to move. As the dog gets frustrated and realizes I'm not going to get that toy, what does he do? He begins to search, right? Because she stopped answering that question in his head about, am I getting the ball from you? And she was giving the dog hints that he might, because her movement is giving the dog the impression that he might get that toy, because she was moving around and causing the interest, causing the potentiality. Is that a good word? that ball might come out. I think she's getting ready. I think she's moving. And in the dog's mind, that's what she does before she throws it, right? And so now the dog's just waiting. When she stops, the dog goes, I guess I got to search. And the dog begins to search and goes off and begins to search. And that's the solution, right? Quite often, handlers and trainers go to the correction and say, no, phooey, and they get going, and they get mad, right? The dog is simply confused. The dog's not giving you the bird. The dog's, I'm refusing to search. Give me the stinking ball. No, he's not saying that. He's confused. He's thinking, well, the ball's there and she's moving. I think she's going to throw it. That's all the dog is telling you. The dog is just confused, and he's young and he doesn't know. That's a young dog. He's only like 14 months old or something like that. And so the solution is to stop moving, strangely enough, and do nothing. When in fact, I mean, many people want to do something, right? You don't always have to do something. Sometimes you just do nothing. All right. So we're going to continue to search now that the dog is searching. We only have a little bit to go on this one. Here we go. So I'm just, hear me talking. I'm just explaining to her why the dog now is searching, is because she stopped moving. And now the dog is searching on its own. The dog is sniffing, doing it. Now she's acting like a robot. And I'm saying, now stop acting like a robot. What's funny is that people do that. I'll tell them to stop moving. So now they think, well, oh, so sorry. Hold on. I got to take it back. Oh, I'm so excited at what I'm teaching you guys that I'm forgetting my tech. And you guys can comment and say, hey, Andy, you're forgotten the video. All right, here we go. So now the dog's off searching. Now you can see her standing still as if she's a robot. That's what I was talking about. I told her, stop being a robot. Go back to being the handler. And she's directing the dog. And watch what happens. The dog on its own, without the handler present, will go in the area now where that odor is. Remember, I taught the dog separately the odor, and now we're back in the same room where the dog now stops and smells the odor. Why? Because now he knows what the odor smells like. The only thing she messed up is the dog wasn't sitting all the way down, right? So before in the search, the dog didn't know the odor. Now in the search, because we trained it separately, the dog knows the odor. All right. Do you see how powerful that is? That not powerful, how important it is to understand that the dog isn't necessarily broken. The dog just simply didn't know the odor, and that's why he couldn't find it. It's simple. It's just simple, right? And if we keep it simple, then we are going to have more success. I'm so sorry about that the technology is getting the best of me today, but I'm so darned excited. I'm going to put us back up here with this next video. This is Charlie. Many of you know, maybe if you're watching this for the first time, you're not seeing Charlie, or you've not seen Charlie before. But this is Charlie. He's a bed bug detection dog. He's in the basic academy where he's still learning many of the processes, but now he's searching on his own. This is the first time we've searched the church sanctuary in this manner, where he's searching the front of the chairs. I placed bed bugs in where they hold the Bibles in a little pocket in front of the chairs. And in my home, he's doing well. He finds the odor that's between two mattresses. Let me just bring this down. I thought I was going to start it. He finds the bed bugs in the mattresses and sits. He finds it in the couch and sits. So we have that down. Now we need to move out, right? What can happen is that we begin to have success, and then we just repeat places where we have success because that's easy and we feel good about it. But instead, what you want to do is, once you have success, move quickly to the next step, something more difficult. And so this tends to be difficult for dogs. I'm not 100% why. I think it's because the seats move and they all look very similar, as opposed to in a house where the couch looks different than the love seat. The love seat looks different from the office chair. The office chair looks different from the nightstands, right? Everything looks completely different. So dogs have a better opportunity to focus on these individual things, where when you are searching the sanctuary, all the chairs look the same, all the rows look the same. And I think dogs can both get bored and just get confused of where they are and where they need to be, right? And so this tends to be difficult for dogs, and it messes with their brains a little bit. And then they, again, as you've remembered, when I went in the house for the first time, the dog forgot about sitting. Same thing happens here, right? We have sitting for this dog successfully in the homes because he understands it now, but now I've changed the environment once again, and now we're here in the church. Again, this is a week ago, so now he's the church has become old hat too. But I just want to I didn't want to miss this step for you so you could see it. All right, back to the video, and we're going to run through, I think, 3 different things here, so you can see the progress from exercise to exercise. I don't believe there may have been a couple that I didn't videotape, but these 3 were I think this was the very first one, and then I did maybe 1 or 2, and then the 3rd and 4th I videotaped. So there may be a couple training sessions that aren't videotaped, but this is just the progression, minus a couple progressions. All right, here we go. All right, so here's the dog searching. He's on leash at this point, looking at me, confused, and I'm just waiting. Again, this is his first time searching the front of the chairs. But he's doing a pretty good job. He's sniffing the Bibles. He's sniffing the in-betweens. He's smelling the tops, right? As we're coming down. There, I like it when he does that. He kind of sticks his nose deep down into the chair. He's coming down. Here's an aisle. I actually dropped the leash now. I don't make it very obvious that I'm dropping the leash. I'm slowly gaining, increasing distance. You'll see each search I get a little bit farther away. And there is the find. You see that behavior change? He pulls it out. Look at his tail wagging a little bit faster. He almost sits, right? He rocks back. There's where the confusion comes in. This is where you can see the dog goes, okay, this is different. And he completely forgets to sit. He does everything. He stops. He finds it. He changes his behavior. He does everything. He looks at me. He does everything but sit. And I'm just standing there, just kind of watching him go through the case. And I'm kind of, you'll see in another case, I kind of walk around and do other stuff and pull him away. Because I said, dude, if you're not going to sit, then it must not be there. There we go. Nice. In that case, he made the right decision, right? So this is a case where the dog made the right decision. And I love it. I love it when dogs make the right decision on their own and I don't have to correct them or tell him sit. I love it. It's one of my favorite things about dog training when it happens is when the dog was able to process through the training and figure it out. All right, here we do the exercise again. Same spot. Just to see what the dog remembers. And this time, I think it even takes him longer to sit. But we'll see. But now you're going to see I'm farther away. Look at me already moving away. So I've already dropped the leash. I'm already increasing distance. And I want him to focus on the search and not at me. And so you can see he's doing that. He's actually doing most of it. They came in there to see what I was doing. Again, probably asking a question and looking for help. Because of the seats looking all similar throughout this church, it's easy to keep the hide in the same spot a couple times and not have to move it because the dog, it's so difficult for the dog to go right back to the spot because so much of it looks the same. This is a big church, a big sanctuary. So he actually has to do the find. I think we're probably coming. There it is. Look at that big head turn. That's awesome. The tail changes, gets a little stiff. Right? Again, he scratches at it. It does something different. I love all that. And he's going to actually leave it on this one, right? He's going to say, maybe there's something else, which is good. And in this phase of training, it's actually good because the dog is learning the difference. Like, what is it? Do I get it for anything else? And then again, he's going to make his own decision. I'm telling him nothing. I'm actually in a different spot now. He comes back to me looking for help. And I really want this dog to make a decision on his own to sit. Can this go on too long? I think there is a limit as to how long you want this to go on, especially later on in the dog's training. But I think at this phase, it is a really a great opportunity for the dog to put it all together himself without help from me, the trainer, or his handler. If he had a handler there, I wouldn't let the handler help him yet. I just tell the handler, let the dog work it out. Let him figure it out. He's thinking, he's processing, he's researching. Now, to him, this is all a brand new search, right? Almost. He thought he said, I'm not going to give it to him. That's where it's important to make sure the dog sits all the way down. Some handlers will make a mistake, and even I, as a trainer, will sometimes anticipate the sit, and he stops. And instead, I want what's going to be coming up the next time. He's going to go back one more time. Right? He's working it out. This is high activity for his brain. This is a dog that has no clue what he's doing. Right? Nothing. Right? I don't want to point it out. I don't want to say, here, dog. I let the dog go ahead and do what he wants to do. And I actually move away in the opposite direction. I'm talking to Cher, telling her what's happening because she sees the dog's in the right spot, and where she's sitting, she can't see what's happening. So I'm talking to her. All right, here comes the dog. He goes back to it. Almost. And sit. That's me clapping here. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. I love it when this happens. So the dog did a really cool thing there of processing, figuring things out, going back a couple times, testing the waters in other areas, not coming up with any answers, going back himself, going, God, I really want to mark that box. Imagine yourself at school when you've read the whole thing, the equation, and you're processing it, and you're going, what's the answer? If Johnny is walking 2 miles an hour, and he's supposed to be there at 3:00, right? And you're coming through all this stuff, and you have to figure it out in your head. And you think what the answer is, and you go, well, let me just go to a couple of, maybe I'll find the answer on one of these other tests. Maybe one of these other questions will lead me to the answer to these other questions. I've done that. I don't know if you've ever done that. And I go, no, none of those other questions are similar or help me understand what the answer is on that one. So I go back to the question, read it again, right? And that's kind of what's happening here. The dog has the problem to solve. The dog's not functioning correctly, right? He has the answer. He's supposed to sit. So in the dog world, it's like a mathematic equation, right? And we think it's simple, but the dog, it's not that simple, right? So he leaves it and tries to find the answer somewhere else. He can't find this answer somewhere else. He looks at me. Are you going to give me the answer? I have no idea what you're doing. You got to do it. The dog goes back through the process, right? Sniff, 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 comes to it. And again, like, oh, I'm not quite sure. Oh, I don't know. The dog leaves it again, right? Processing. The dog comes back, smells it, half sits all the way down, reward, right? Nice. That is so powerful for the dog to go through that process. I get excited. All right, now let's come to the last one. So I changed the hide location. I reduced it down to one vial. There, I think I had 3 or 4 vials inside that little Bible holder. Remember, I'm kind of going back and forth between 1 vial, 3 vials, 2 vials, and I want to make sure that the odor doesn't stay the same. I want to make sure and increase the times that I'm mixing it up for the dog. Sometimes it's in a plastic bag, sometimes it's out of a plastic bag, sometimes it's in an envelope. So I'm throwing different types of containers in there so that again, back to the first dog, I'm changing it up so the dog doesn't get used to finding it in one type of environment. The glass vial, and this is what makes it so difficult, is the only thing I can't change. What I can do is have plastic vials and different size glass vials. I can change that. But as far as it being in a vial with bed bugs, there's nothing I can do. All right, let's go to the last video. I've changed the location. I've changed the amount. And now the final exercise for this is the one I quit on. And let me bring it up to the broadcast. There we go. All right, here we go. And the dog is searching. Now I've changed the way that it looks. So I'm doing the sides of the chairs. And I can't remember exactly where I put it. It's in one of the chairs somewhere. Oh, I love that he goes down the aisle there and then comes back down, sniffing as he comes back down. Right here. There he goes. There he wasn't sniffing, but he started to. That would have been a great place to put a vial if I would have known, right? You don't know where the dog's going to go sometimes. And he's going to, I think, find his. Look at me I'm holding back just because I want the dog to kind of be on his own and say, this is your problem to solve, dog. You no longer need me. You have the tools to be successful. You have the nose. You have the odor. You know what to do to get the reward. And now you just got to search a little bit harder. I can't remember exactly where I put it. So it's going to be a mystery to me. I've completely forgotten. I know that that's the last video that I took. So obviously something good happened, or if it was really bad, I would have done something else. There he goes down the aisle, and there's where he's kind of sniffing. I love that. Obviously he's not, remember, he's searching for one vial that's been there maybe 5 minutes. I didn't wait very long to do it. The reason I didn't correct him for smelling the ground is because he continued to move. If we would have stopped, I would have corrected him verbally to get him going back there. He's found it. He tasted. You see him lick his lips again, tasted the odor. The behavior change is very clear, right? Some handlers would reward there. I would be careful about doing that. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that every so often in the beginning, especially when the dog is having difficulty with the odor. You might want to reward a dog for simply showing you that he understands what it is. But at this stage for this dog, as you can see, the sit is really important to get with this dog. Somebody opened the door at that moment, and he sees them walking across the stage. They're up, the singers and the band members are getting there. Now and he's processed it while he was looking at other stuff. Again, really enjoyed the training process on that one. I see. I remember what happens here. I put my phone on my pocket. I forgot that I did that. So you see black. You see the inside of my pocket. But again, I got to stop it. There we go. All right. So you see the process, the thought process. There can be some delay, right, between things. But when you're allowing the dog to work through the process of understanding what is he supposed to do, there are times for that to happen. And then what we're going to do is we're going to speed up the sit, right? We may balance it between actually giving a correction and verbally or a leash correction or whatever. But now that the dog has a clear understanding, it'll all make more sense. If you do something like that too early, especially with your golden retrievers and softer dogs, you can repel the dog from the odor. And you don't want to put too much pressure with physicality or a strong voice with a dog that has, that's sensitive in its heart, right? Because what will end up happening, again, is that you'll cause the dog to avoid the odor. Okay, wow. I'm sweating because I'm so excited. Anybody else have any questions? They stopped at David's question, and I hope I didn't throw everybody off because the answer wasn't necessarily what maybe somebody wanted to hear. But if anybody else has any other questions before I sign off, I'd surely welcome them. What is really funny with you guys on the dog side of things is that there are a lot of you watching. I find out as I begin to look on Facebook, and there can be up to 100 or 200 people watching live, but I only get 2 or 3 people commenting. It encourages me when you comment that I'm talking about what it is that you're interested in. So please, when you're watching, whether it is live or in the replay, please comment. Please give me your thoughts and your questions. There's got to be questions like, well, why didn't you give the dog the toy then? And then why are you waiting? Or why that dog? Because that dog's ugly, or he's not though. Charlie's really cute. Why? A lot of things. I'm sure there's a lot of whys. So that's how I come up with solutions for you that you want to hear. If I'm not getting questions and I'm not getting the responses, then I gotta make it up and then guess what it is that you guys want to hear. And I'd rather know for sure by your questions that, like when David asked a question that was an outstanding question. I know that's what he needs to know and want to know why we do it this way. And that's why I don't say seek. We don't point out. They don't need you to. If your dog needs you to, then obviously your trainer or the training system that you've been given it tells you that that's needed. And I learned long ago, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that how I was being trained was to do the same thing, right? Point out stuff, do a lot of directed searching and have the dog do that was the way to do it. And I learned that actually that was getting in the way of solving searches faster, of the dog showing you better behavioral changes and the dog having a better opportunity to find some stuff because you're not there standing over them. The seek thing it just drives me crazy. That people that are pointing every 10 seconds, every 6 inches, telling the dog to do something. It's like telling the dog to sit over and over again and his butt is on the ground, right? You're saying sit, and the dog's sitting there going, I am sitting. To a dog that's sniffing and you're saying seek or search or sniff over and over again, it becomes nothing. It becomes just you humming, and the dog, it's just white noise to the dog because it loses meaning. When I tell this dog to search, he goes, oh, I'm sorry. So when he was sniffing the ground, if the dog would have sniffed the ground, and that's what I was talking about, if he would have stopped and sniffed and stayed there, I would have said, no, search. And so now that search has more meaning than if I would say it all the time. And it goes along with all obedience too. If you're saying down, 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 and yet the dog never downs, but then you go grab the leash and give the dog a physical down, it's that the word is meaningless until you grab the leash and give him that correction. Then he goes, when you say that word and you're holding the leash, I have to lay down. as opposed when you're not holding the leash and you say down, I don't have to do it because you never do anything about it, right? And so the words become less meaningful when you're repeating them over and over again, and yet the dog, there's nothing else happening, right? Especially in a dog that's already doing it. So I encourage all my handlers to be careful that they say search. You know, the dog starts in a sit, right? And you say search, and the dog begins to search, and you stay silent. No words until you need to give the dog direction. Only then do you give the dog a word or even a hand gesture at that moment, because it'll be way more meaningful, because it means something. It means, hey, dummy, you stop searching, I need you to go back to searching, right? And thereby it has meaning, and then the dog responds. And if he doesn't, then you have to take action, right? And it's so much clearer for a dog than if you're repeating yourself over again. Again, this goes all across lines. Police dogs for the out, the release the sleeve. Pet dogs for staying at the door, or giving them permission to eat their food. You do nothing. You say nothing after you've told him to sit. Once the dog is sitting, you say sit, the dog sits. You say nothing. You put the bowl down. You don't say stay, because sitting is staying, right? What people tend to do is they stay, 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 and it means nothing. If you told your dog to sit, he needs to sit, right? You don't need to say stay. When you tell your dog to stand or down, you don't need to say stay. And so we get caught up on all these words thinking they mean something to the dog, and they mean nothing to the dog unless they're supported with something else, a praise or a correction. Wow. Went on to a whole new thing there. All right. And let's see, I was just kind of killing time, hoping for another question. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody who joined, David and Sally. I miss you, Sally. Chris, miss you too. I haven't seen you in a while. But Sally, my good friend, who we've spent, she's one of our trainers, one of our former trainers. She's been on our broadcast. I've interviewed her. She is my avatar, my perfect customer. I do everything with her in mind still to this day when it comes to pet dog stuff. And I have a different avatar or perfect customer for detection dog work. Don't forget that I have my podcast that's now on iHeartRadio. If you've not seen that, you can go to iHeartRadio and type in Train the Dog Trainer podcast, and my podcast will come up. I think there's 11 episodes in there now. And if you're a dog trainer and in the business, I think if you're in any business, I think the podcast is still good for you. Just understand that I'm going to be talking about dog training a lot, or the dog training business a lot. But you can listen to it and really take whatever it is. It fits into any business. And so you got that to go to. I would really appreciate it if you went to the Train the Dog Trainer podcast and subscribed. It really helps with getting the word out. The algorithms increase based on people that are listening and subscribing. So that would be fantastic. You can also get it on iTunes, and you can also get it on Spreaker. And I probably should put it in the comments, which I will here in a minute. Don't forget, I have our Train the Dog Trainer journal, and I have one for detection dog handlers that is available on Amazon. Oh, did I? Yeah, I did put that in there. And so I should also put the detection dog one on there. Hold on, let me do that. Let me do that first, since I already have Amazon pulled up. The Detection Dog Journal. Did I mistype it? Perhaps I mistype it. Yeah, I did. Where is it? Maybe I need the... Where'd my Detection Dog Journal go? Hold on. Wait, did I give another title? It's possible. Oops, I did the wrong thing. Oh, this is fun, right? This is fun watching me type on the computer. If you want, if you really like this, I can actually put on my camera, and this is what I pretty much do all day, is type on the computer. But all right, here it is. Here it's coming. I promise you. There it is. Detection. Detection Dog. I didn't even know the title of I don't even know the title of my own book. It's the Detection Dog Handler Journal. And because I didn't put handler, it didn't give it to me. Wow. I just got to laugh at myself. There's probably nobody else watching. I can see the numbers dropping off. So there's the link for the Detection Dog Journal that again has the grayed out print, but it's in more detailed. I have directions on how to use the Detection Dog Journal. written in here, so that because there's words that are slightly different, like set time for the odor, and oh gosh, there's a couple other things in there. It's a longer list for you detection dog handlers, but yet the same logging system in the back, and same grade out letter, so that you can use it as a blank page or a structured page. And then the last thing I was going to get for you is the iHeartRadio, my podcast, and get you the link for that, so that you, if you don't know about it, you can get it. Again, I like sharing the iHeartRadio one, because you can't just put it on iHeart. It has to actually get approved, and they approved my podcast. It has to have certain there's certain parameters that have to be met, and I met them, and they are featuring my podcast there on. I just laugh because I know that you're sitting here going, this guy's crazy. He's doing stuff and nothing's happening. And why is this taking so long? I typed in the search. Here, let me try this again. Last time, you can sign off if you want. In the comment section, you will find, wow, this is just not happy. It's not a happy time. iHeartRadio is not having a good time with me right now. Well, I'm sure you're all adults. You can find it there for yourself, because obviously I'm having great difficulty pulling it up myself. It does not want to cooperate. I'm typing in the search engine, but yet it's doing nothing. It just is choosing not to cooperate with me. Okay, one more time. You know, there's a band called Dog Trainer, and I listened to them, and it was pretty good. So there's a band called Dog Trainer that I think you'll find very interesting. Oh my gosh! All right, I give. I can't apparently do it. Can't do the search and find it. It's playing a commercial now. All right, I just look, and the Falco Canine Academy Facebook page, and just about every Facebook page that this gets broadcast to. If you just search down, you will see the links for iHeartRadio and the podcast. And I can see that I've lost everybody that was watching. All right, that is it for me. I will see you at the next one. Take care, and I will talk to you later. Thanks, Sally. Thanks, David, and Chris. I was glad to see you, and all the others that were watching. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye.